I was like, what? I'm so blind. I'm like, that's a 0. No, it's a 10. It's a 10. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another week of Case Files with Kat
and Ashley.
Yay! We did it.
We remembered.
First episode of the season. Totally did not. We were so rusty. So thanks for, if you're checking back in with us, thank you. We appreciate you. How's your week been?
It's been a week. I love it, Always something.
Do you love it? Do you though? But do you really?
Life be lifing.
We just be lifing. I don't know. Sometimes it's not so great. Sometimes it's not so great, but we're making it through.
Yeah.
You don't have a drink.
Is that shocking?
No.
I forget to take things to the office, and then I'm at the office and I'm like, shit. and then I'm just like, oh, that makes sense with life. So I come here.
I don't know if I even have anything.
No, it's cool. I have so much at the house, and forget.
It's gonna go to waste now. Okay,
no,
so
it's not. I'll drink it.
Yeah,
I just won't be on the show.
Oh. Boo. I just have an art car, St. Arnold's art car. It's like the old standby right now.
St. Arnold's is always a good choice, though.
I know. They donated a lot for our event too.
Oh,
yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah. So I have nothing.
Oh, okay. Like not a story, or you just mean like nothing? Like
no,
nothing.
like I have no updates really. You know what? These new meds are they're just making me. This morning I felt like I was high without the benefits of being high.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Like not. So I'm taking Wellbutrin, which you didn't like.
No.
So for me, it's like it's like kind of like wonky. I feel like my eyes look like I'm doing this, like I haven't looked at myself in the mirror, but I walked into work this morning, and it's a Monday morning, and my boss looked at me and she was like, you look different. And I was like, well, aside from the haircut that I just chopped off 6 inches of my hair, like I just, just my face kind of had lost life. Like I just have this like emotionless face now. She was like, oh, what's up with your face? Like, thanks. And like, that's what it feels like. It feels like I'm kind of.
When I started Lexapro, when I was like, one day I was like, is this what normal happy people feel like? This is so weird. It was just like, I just didn't feel like I was just in a good mood, like you're smiling. Nothing mattered. I was like, oh, this is what it's like.
Yeah. I got a lot of work done. So, that with my ADHD meds kind of put together, I was kind of like focused and just getting work done, But anyway, that's the Cat's mental health corner. There's no shame. There's no shame.
Absolutely not.
In losing your shit.
Or being medicated to not lose your shit. Or being medicated and
still losing your shit. Like, just get better meds that work better for you. Yeah. So I'm totally, that's our tip of the week. Find good meds. Okay. So I'm just going to get into my story.
Okay, go. I'm
ready.
This,
this makes me want to do like a 3-parter, but I'm not, I'll think about it.
Okay.
So the other night, the wizard and I were doing what all healthy, well-adjusted couples do for date night.
Okay.
We watched Silence of the Lambs.
Nice. Great choice.
For like the umpteenth time, for sure. But it had been years. But, as I'm quoting the movie, it puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again, right? I start wondering, I know Buffalo Bill was based on somebody. And so I was like, who inspired the character Buffalo Bill? And so, because that guy, right, he's iconic, right? He's terrifying. I read stories years ago, that it was so hard for him to get work afterwards because that role was so scary. So he was only getting villains.
Yeah.
So he started to just try to accept things that were maybe dark, but not, evil.
Yeah.
Right. But he was the kind of villain just like, woof, crawl out of your skin, like right out of my nightmares. And then he steals my blanket and asks for my skin routine. I don't know. Like he's just like, you wanted soft skin, right? Yeah. But the movie still holds up. Seriously, still holds up. So if you haven't seen it yet, especially the younger folk.
I can't imagine someone having not seen it, but
like today someone told me, and I thought it was really rude, that she didn't know who George Michael was.
Oh,
and I was like, what? That's rude. I was like, so I had to like start singing songs to her. She goes, oh yeah, I know that song. I'm like, okay, so you know him. You just didn't know him. But yes, Buffalo Bill is not a football player. He is not a Buffalo Bill. But it's a classic. It's creepy. Go watch it. Anyway, back to the show. So I got it into my head that I wanted to introduce all of you to the real life creeps who inspired this character that's been haunting our collective dreams, at least our generation, for decades. He's terrifying dude number one. I might get into the others, but this one's pretty terrifying. He's earned this title.
Okay.
For sure. And the man was named Gary Heidnik.
Okay.
Gary Heidnik. Think of him as like the starter package for the Buffalo Bill character. You'll recognize Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
In the story. So Gary Michael Heidnik was born on November 22nd, 1943. Almost your birthday.
I know. Let's see when my grandmother was born.
In East Lake, Ohio. That's a suburb of Cleveland. To Michael and Ellen Heidnik. And he had a younger brother named Terry. Now, his parents were both really bad alcoholics. Just a really traumatic household from any angle you look at it. What made it worse was that his parents eventually split. And after his parents got divorced, they got divorced in 1946. The boys lived with their mom for a little while, for about 4 years, until they were sent to live with their dad and his new wife. His mom, though, in all of these years, got remarried several times to a lot of multiple black men.
Okay.
In those, and he's white, in those years, and his father fucking hated that. That really made him mad that she was marrying black men.
Why did the father care if they weren't together?
Because he was just racist.
Oh. I just didn't know if they're,
like a black man around my kids, that kind of thing, right? Anyway, so he went to go live with his dad and his new wife, which was a huge, huge mistake. And you can probably guess, it was not a glow up for Gary, for little Gary. And unlike that mullet wearing douchebag I talked about a couple of weeks ago, this guy actually had it rough growing up. So it's going to get to a point where you are going to have some, dude, he was a kid, right?
It's so hard when you hear these things that happen to these people and then you know what they did.
Right.
And to not be like, there was just absolutely no way this person was not going to do what they did. You know what I mean? Like, you can't feel sorry because they did really do bad things, but like, holy fuck, when you hear about some of the childhoods, like,
you can feel sorry for that child.
Yeah.
And they're no longer that child. Yeah. And, a lot of children go through trauma, live in violence, and they don't become violent themselves. They don't become serial killers. But this kid had a lot of the signs. Yeah. Right. So at this point in his life, it was steeped in abuse and shame. His father was not just cruel, like physically, but he was emotionally as well. An example of that was that because of all of the chaos and the trauma that in his life, Gary developed secondary enuresis, which, just a fancy way of saying, and according to the National Kidney Foundation, it means when a child who did have bladder control at night for at least 6 months prior, but lost that control and now wets the bed again. Secondary enuresis in older children or in teens, which was happening, should be evaluated by a doctor. Bedwetting in this age group could be a sign of a urinary tract infection or other health problems, neurological issues, stress, or other issues. So he had a couple of those, stress. It's also one of the markers of a serial killer. Oh, bedwetting in their teens. I think probably because it highlights that there was probably a lot of trauma.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's lots going on.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, Gary definitely checked off a couple of those boxes. So he did struggle with bedwetting into his adolescence, and his dad decided that the best way to handle old Gary was to hang his urine-soaked bed sheets outside of his bedroom window or on the clothesline in the front yard for all of the neighbors to look at and see. Basically, just putting a target on his kid's back to be bullied at school. And he was for sure bullied at school. That'll teach him.
What kind of shit even is that?
I mean, I don't know. That's a great question. But he was just cruel. He was just an angry, cruel old man. I mean, how do you recover from that? Just the amount of shame.
The fact that it's your parent doing it to you is just...
This man belittled Gary for so many years. And so to make matters worse, Gary had suffered a childhood head injury. He reportedly fell from a tree and it left his head had a dent in his skull. He later blamed that dent for the way he turned out. But let me tell you, when the dent was no joke, right? I was able to see like a photo of him around this time, and he would say, I mean, it's no joke. He would say that he had an odd shaped head. And I'm like, I wish I could see it, because like in photos of him as an adult, you don't see it because he has long hair. But as a kid, you're like, oh yeah, that's oddly shaped. Just an egg. Just an egg.
Well, and as we know, I mean, surely he had traumatic brain injury from that, right? Which is... really changes people's personalities sometimes. I mean, I'm just asking because like,
I don't know that he had a traumatic brain injury.
I'm trying to find a school picture.
Oh yeah. Look for like a high school picture of him. Heidnik.
I see it. Yeah,
you see it? It is oddly shaped, right? Like you see it and you're like, oh yeah, that's a fucking skull. That's a noggin. But what made it worse is that he had that buzz cut that was so popular, right? Like that's how dudes wore their hair, not in the mullet that was all stringy. Yep, I'm going to let go of the mullet now. But so kids bullied him for his appearance, for the dent in his head, and so he mostly kept to himself. He didn't talk to anybody, nobody. He sat by himself at lunch. He didn't talk to anybody. He didn't have any friends. He just kept to himself. There's this heartbreaking story that a new girl once asked him about his class schedule, just kind of being nice. She was new. Yeah. And he yelled at her, yelling that he wasn't worthy to have someone like her talk to him.
Oh, wow.
Like, you're not supposed to be talking to me because I'm not worthy. How heartbreaking is that?
Yeah.
And he was like, that shows you how much he was absorbing all the shit that his dad was saying to him.
Yeah.
Right. It was just his father's voice coming out like, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. I hate to feel any kind of sympathy for this guy.
Yeah.
I do. And we just said that, like, it's hard, but he was a child, you know. He just never stood a chance, as we say. So here's the wild thing, though. You mentioned the head injury, traumatic brain injury. Despite all of this, Gary was actually really smart, like scary smart.
Oh.
Some reports say that his IQ was around 130, but another test said it was like 148.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right? 148. Meanwhile, I'm over here struggling how to figure out my TV remote.
Same.
How did this turn on? I mean, I can't even imagine being that smart and yet still turning out to be one of the most infamous creeps to ever touch U.S. soil. Anyway, so as a young man, Gary joined the U.S. Army. He wanted to become an officer, but he didn't get accepted into that. So he went into, the regular service. He served briefly. He underwent like medical nurse training. He actually got a license and everything, to do that. But during his service, he started to have like dizziness and headaches and blurred vision, and his behavior started to become erratic. So they sent him to a doctor, and he was eventually diagnosed with schizoid personality behavior. And so he was honorably discharged or medically discharged, depending on the source. And he received disability benefits from that. So after his military days, he attempted college at the University of Pennsylvania, but that lasted maybe a semester before he ended up dropping out. He later worked at a veterans hospital in Coatesville, Pennsylvania, as a psychiatric orderly or an attendant, but his behavior there was also erratic and aggressive, and he was eventually dismissed because he was rude, and his attendance there wasn't always that great. Like he was late or he didn't show up too many times. And so I was like, oh, you're not going to work out.
Yeah.
But he was like like an LPN. I think he got like a practitioners like from his service in the Army, because he wasn't, he applied in the Army for lots of he wanted to do special force kind of stuff, right? And so he would apply and he would not get accepted into any of them. So he went into so he got just rejected and rejected and rejected. And I think in his brain, and a lot of these guys have respect for the military, but they don't want to be told what to do. They don't like it.
Yeah.
That's too much order. No. So after this, he spent some time in and out of hospitals. He attempted to take his own life several times during this time. His brother, Terry, also several times had attempted suicide during this time. It was a very unhealthy household.
Now, was Terry treated the way that Gary was treated?
I don't know, but they grew up together. So my assumption is yes.
Well, sometimes parents single out a child when it comes
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I understand what you're saying, but I think that he also watched it all happen.
Yeah.
So regardless if he was ever treated that badly, he watched it and he probably learned not to do the things.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
He probably got around. So
I was just wondering how he, you know what I mean? How one turned out and the other one didn't.
It just wasn't a great life.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a great life. I think his brother was weaker of mind, wasn't as smart.
Yeah.
Anyway, so around this time in 1970, his mother, who was battling bone cancer and alcoholism, she took her own life by ingesting mercuric chloride.
Oh my gosh.
So that just added to all of, just one thing after another, right? One thing after another. So, in between all of the hospital stays and he's got a ribbon.
Just watching one of my support kitties play with this ribbon is just the cutest thing. Even though you're talking about something so serious, he's just over here playing with the ribbon.
He is attacking that little string. Just
okay. I'm sorry, guys.
Pop, 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 pop.
I'm back to being serious.
Sorry. You're back. So he took what little money he had and he started investing in the stock market.
Okay.
He was really good at it.
Oh, wow.
His financial advisor said, I just did what he told me to do. He made the calls, right?
Yeah.
He wants me to play with him. All right, you hear him?
Because we don't have a podcast or anything.
I know. He's like right now. He's like headbutting me right onto the table. So eventually, he started to make money because he was really good.
Yeah.
And so he amassed a small fortune. And so he took $1,500. So this is in the 70s. That's, it's a good amount of money.
Yeah.
And he had 5 followers that included his brother, Terry. And Heidnik founded his own church in 1971 called the United Church of the Ministers of God.
Okay.
It's a long name.
We have really made some huge leaps here from
what's happened, right?
Yeah.
So
all the way to a church.
He's a bishop.
Yeah.
Now,
okay.
Right? Called himself a bishop. All right. Starts this church. So was he really religious? Probably not. Was he just trying to find a way to not pay taxes? Maybe.
Yeah.
Or was it all part of a bigger plan? I think that's it.
Okay.
I think that's it. You can decide. Everyone can decide for themselves. So over the years, his congregation actually grew. He had quite a few people. Most of them, though, were vulnerable, mentally not all there. Just not able to make decisions on their own.
Yeah.
Some of them were, being taken care of by brothers, sisters, still living with their parents or something like that. So they weren't able to intellectually say, oh, this man is a scam artist.
Yeah.
But he was in the neighborhood. He had moved to this neighborhood. Interesting fun fact, not fun. Fun fact. That's not fun. He moved into this area of North Philly that there were 2 other serial killers going on at the same time.
Oh my God. Like in 2 other in addition to him.
3 serial killers, same time, same neighborhood.
Did they have a serial killer club? What?
They should have.
I mean, I'm just asking, I wonder, because how do you not know you know what I mean?
Right. I mean,
how do you not know there's
I don't know that
2
they're
others in your neighborhood?
Or are they going after the same? I mean,
how awkward would that be?
This is a predominantly low income black neighborhood. Yeah. And Gary Heidnik was white. One other guy was white and one other guy was black.
Oh.
Right? Not very many. All right. But this offered him, because he would specifically go after those who were having other intellectual, needing more challenges, that they were having to get taken care of. And he got to work with these people and he got to practice his coercion and his manipulation, got to really hone in on those skills.
And I'm sure it fed his ego.
I mean, teach us, oh bishop.
Yeah.
Right. So his congregation did grow and he would eventually amass $500,000 for this church because he was good at the stock market. He didn't have to pay taxes on it. And so to put that into some perspective, I just kind of jumped ahead and I said 1975, $500,000. Today, that would equal $3,010,929. A total of $2.5 million over 50 years. So
from 1,500, right? He started with 1,500.
1,500 to 500,000.
Wow.
And what that would equal today.
That's
a huge amount of money. So before the crimes for which he would become infamous, there was a precedent, and not a shocker. In 1978, Heidnik abducted his partner's sister. I'm gonna kind of gloss over the relationships he had. He would date somebody, they would have a baby, and they would immediately be taken away. This happened with a couple of people, and then I'll gloss over that because there's a reason. Just there's a lot to cover about this dude. I kind of wanted it to be a two-parter, but it's okay. So in 1978, Heidnik abducted his partner's sister, who was a mentally disabled woman, from a state institution. And she was later found in his basement, neglected and abused. And he was tried and convicted and sentenced, but only served a portion of that sentence.
Of course. Before
returning to the outside world. Such bullshit. After that release, he married a woman from the Philippines, Betty Disto, in 1985, and their marriage was very tumultuous and short-lived. She divorced him within months, citing abuse, infidelity, and coercion. He would have sex workers come to the house and like force her to watch all of these things. She was from the Philippines, but everyone that he would have come to the house, they were all black. And he would have children with some of these women. So he did have children from different relationships, but his involvement with those children was minimal, if non-existent altogether, because they would be immediately taken away due to the mother's intellectual inability to care for those children. We're talking like 30-year-old women with the mental capacity of like a 15-year-old.
Investigate the father of these disabled women having babies.
Girl.
You know, like,
I don't know.
If they were taking the babies away, you would think they would investigate who the father was and be like, why do you,
right?
Like, what's happening here?
Right. So by 1986, Heidnik was living modestly, despite having amassed this wealth. He was investing disability checks from his congregants and other things. He had two really nice cars. He had a Cadillac and a Rolls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, an older Rolls, but still a Rolls Royce. And he had a nice watch, a couple of nice things like that he would wear, but the rest of it was like, it didn't match.
Yeah.
He lived in a shithole, like the yard just littered with trash, but he still had the Cadillac and the Rolls Royce in the driveway, weird, right? Yeah. This not a very big house with not very nice furnishings. Like there wasn't anything special, to that place. I mean, the house was a mess. Anyway, so he moved out. He moved to a part of Philly that was, like I said, predominantly black, predominantly poor, and he had a big plan, and that's why he was there. What Heidnik wanted, perversely, was control, and I don't know if it was a God complex, but he aimed to kidnap women, preferably black, vulnerable women that nobody would miss. So like sex workers, sort of, we've seen and heard those stories. Hold them captive, rape them to impregnate them, and make them have his babies. And he wanted to do that with 10 women. He believed, he said this, his lawyer said it, he believed that if he created this sort of master race, he believed white people should have babies with black people, vice versa, so that everybody would be mixed and then there would be no racial hatred. It's a really fucked up way of going about that.
I'm assuming that comes from his father's beliefs.
Right. And so was it to give him the finger?
Yeah.
Or because what he did it wasn't nice. Yeah. He wasn't just like having sex with women. Like he was raping them and torturing them.
Yeah.
How could they raise a baby in their body with starvation? and dehydration and
why
cold.
Can't you just find ones that would be willing to have sex?
Because he wasn't like a bad looking dude at this point. You know, he just, you're smart. You invest well. Man, you just get to another part of town. You just change your, I don't know. So it's kind of like, was it a middle finger to his dad, or was he like living out his dad's fantasy?
Oh, weird. Yeah.
And that's a, I mean, because I don't have an answer to that.
Yeah.
I really don't. Anyway, he fantasized about creating this family, and he thought it would end race relations.
Okay.
That's what he told everybody. So his reign of terror began in late 1986 and ended in 1987. So this particular part of his story is short-lived, but it is unforgettable.
Yeah.
In November 1986, it started with his first known victim in this series, in this pattern, I guess, was Josefina Rivera. Who was about 25 years old at that time. So in 1986, Rivera was picked up by Heidnik under the guise that he was going to pay for sex. And I believe she was actually really like smart. I think she was, I can't remember if this is the one, but who went to college and everything, but fell in with drugs and ended up having to fall into this line of work. And so he forced her into his home, raped her, choked her unconscious, bound her, then dragged her into the basement of his house. In that basement, or I guess more accurately, subterranean complex. It was just dirt. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of
like a homemade basement,
like a cellar.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like it wasn't like a finished basement.
Yeah, not like the basements you see on TV and stuff.
Not like that. Not like that at all.
A literal dirt prison, kind of.
Like very dirty.
Yeah.
Very dingy, very cold. No, like it would get cold at night.
Yeah.
Right? Heidnik had dug a pit and dug a hole in the soil of that basement. Sound familiar? And he lined it with some boards. Sometimes he forced his victims into that pit, covering them with a wood board and putting like sand on top of it so they couldn't climb out. They couldn't make their way out. They wouldn't be able to push up. So the sandbags, the wood. So it just looked, if anybody went down there, they wouldn't notice it. And it would be, his disguise for that hole, for the pit. So at this point, he felt strong, right? So more women were abducted. And over the next few months, Heidnik kidnapped Sandra Lindsay. She was in her 20s with the mental capacity of like a 15-year-old. She had known Heidnik for years, considered him her friend, someone who looked out for her. And one day, and they had been having sexual relations. And then one day, he just took her. And even during that time before, when they were having sexual relations before all of this, she had actually gotten pregnant and said, like, I don't think I can be a mom. And so she had an abortion.
I'm assuming that's what triggered.
And he was so pissed. And so,
oh my gosh,
he was like, kidnaps her. And he's like, you are going to have my baby. And, took chains and chained her up. And so it was just her and Josefina for a while. And then soon followed Lisa Thomas, Jacqueline Askins, Deborah Dudley, and Agnes Adams. The dates kind of vary between sources, so I'm not really sure. So I'm just naming them.
But these women were all in the basement at the same time? Like together, or he was like alternating them out?
There were six. There were six total. Yes. Yeah. They were chained. They were mostly half naked. They were starving. They were tortured. They were pressured. They were raped. So some were chained to a bed frame, others to pipes or to walls. Some stood chained near a window, others near a pool table in the basement. One survivor, Jackie Askins, later recalled in interviews that when she first arrived, she was stripped, her wig, her clothes, everything, and she just screamed. Then she was dragged into the basement chamber where the other women were held, and she remembered seeing the others who were chained up. 2 were in the bed, she says, 2 were in the bed, 1 was by the pool table, 1 by the window. And I mean, I can't even imagine what the feeling, that moment when you're like, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Holy shit, this is where I die. Right? So Heidnik's punishments were cruel and inventive. Women attempting to escape would be electrocuted, beaten, deprived of food and water, tied in stress positions, drugged, or otherwise tortured. So the first to go was Sandra Lindsay, and she attempted to escape, and so he what are those called? Handcuffs.
Cuffs.
He handcuffed her with, I can't do that with this arm, with her arm up so high that her toes barely were able to stand on the ground. Like she could hardly touch the ground. So she's hanging like this. And I watched a documentary. It was like a 30-minute episode of The Killer Next Door, I think is what it's called. And John Douglas, you know, from Mindhunter, the FBI psych unit. He actually said that you could, or someone in that episode said that you could actually suffocate like this. Like I can't, like, there's so much stress happening with your arms stuck in this position and you hanging that like your organs stop after several hours. Like there's so much going on. Blood, you know, just not flowing. There's so much happening internally that, you know, it killed her. And I don't think he knew that it would kill her. Yeah. He thought he was just being really fucking mean. Yeah. And he said in an interview, Gary Heidnik, he was like, I wanted them to behave. I just was trying to make them behave because they weren't behaving. And he's so crazy mad about it. Yeah. But he was like, God, and like his fucking like mannerisms were almost like Kramer, right? From Seinfeld. Like, just wanted them to behave. And he just looked wild. Yeah. Man. I know. And so after she passed, he removed her body, and then the women heard a chainsaw.
I cannot imagine how terrifying it would be to be those other women, like already, but then to like hear this shit happening.
Just really crazy. Anyway, just awful. So he would force food scraps, sometimes dog food, on these women to make them like behave. This was like, this is what you get if you don't behave, right? Stop screaming, getting people to call the cops on me. Because cops did get called.
Oh my God.
And they would never ask to come in. They would just kind of go, all right. They said it's really loud in here.
They never walked through the house? Mm-mm.
Oh, did Dorothy call you guys again on me? Yeah, can you just keep it down? Right? Your music's too loud.
Wow.
So he would sometimes, oh gosh. The thing about Sandra Lindsay, I'm going to go back to her. Because Gary knew, okay, because Gary knew her and they knew he knew her, they went to the police and said, hey, we think Gary has her. They went and knocked on his door. Hey, do you have her? Nope. Okay. No, but what they did actually was put his name wrong, spelled incorrectly. So nothing pulled up about anything that happened in the past. None of the past charges of assault or that the rape of the other woman, none of that showed up. So they were just like, oh, because they spelled his name wrong. Wow. So more women would have been found unless, like fucking cops. They didn't care.
Yeah.
It was like these women were forgotten, not, by society. It was like two forms of abuse. So he would sometimes force them to perform degrading acts or manipulate them psychologically, promising freedom or special status if they cooperated. And Josefina Rivera was probably like the person that got the most favoritism, who got him. She manipulated him too in that way. Like, I know I'll be treated better if I just play along. And you start, Stockholm syndrome. It wasn't like that. It was like, I need to fucking live. Yeah. And so I need to just keep going. By early 1987, conditions were pretty bad. So it was in February of 1987 that Sandra Lindsay died. And according to accounts, she was, hanging from that beam. And she was not fed or anything like that. And so there's just so many things. Like I said, the women heard a chainsaw, and he had dismembered her in the home. And investigators, when they found him and went in the home, I won't save this for the end. When they went into the home, they actually found he had boiled her skull in a soup container on the stove, and it had been boiling for so long. It was just like this, like just fatty stuff. The skull, like the teeth fell out of the gums, and like that's how long. He just kept it boiling for like days. He just kept adding water, kept it boiling. They found a grinder, like a meat grinder in the kitchen, to grind your own meat, like a really big one, so it could handle grinding up that much meat. And they found body parts, and there was one bone in the, like, had been cooked in the oven. They found like a whole arm frozen in the freezer. But he had also ground up some of it, mixed it with the dog food, and fed it to the other captives. That just really stressed me out saying that. God. Then in March 1987, Deborah Dudley was murdered. Heidnik had put her in the pit, put her into the hole, and he filled it with water, and he had one of the other women electrocute her. And her corpse was also later stored in the freezer before he eventually moved it outside to a wooded area in New Jersey. What they found painted a picture of like sexual violence, and they called it something, I can't remember what it was. It was, but definitely sexual deviant, sexually violent, but also immature person.
Yeah.
He mutilated them, desecrated them. It's awful. And he had the other women involved in it. And that is just horrifying. But his plan had always been more kidnapping, because he wanted progeny, right? He wanted to pass his seed along. God complex? I don't know.
Yeah.
So to impregnate women under his control and to raise them in this closed, beautiful system, I don't know how he really, I don't think he thought that whole plan through.
Yeah.
So that's why I think like it was more of like living out the racism he had.
Yeah.
Because he could have done what he wanted in a totally different way.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know. I don't want to say Charles Manson, but get people to willingly be in your circle and willingly be your wife or whatever.
There were just so many different ways to go about
this.
There's
like willingly live in a commune with all of these women, you know, like willingly. But I don't think it was, I think it was about the horror, about the torture, about the pain.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was about. Then in March of 1987, after months of confinement, Josefina Rivera managed to engineer her escape. He had asked for her help getting some women into the house, right? Getting another sex worker or something. And so she convinced him, you know, like, I'm cool. Like, we're okay. But I want to see my family. And, you know, it's like, okay, you get 15 minutes. And she's like, okay. And like, all right. He agreed to take her to a phone. And while at the payphone, she called the police screaming for help. And the police arrived and they saw this woman and she's just like, you have to help me. She told them that she'd been held captive for 4 months in the basement by a man named Gary Heidnik. She explained that there were several other women still being held there. So when the officers raided his home, they discovered the cellar of horrors. 3 women remained alive, chained and starving. The basement walls, chains, feces, everything, dirty blankets. There were women barely clothed, chained to the bed with nothing but like a blouse and underwear and under a dirty blanket, you know, like nothing was, you know, then there's another woman chained against the wall. It was just awful. Then nearby in storage and freezers, they found the remains of the other women, you know, bits of them anyway. He did not resist arrest at all. When they found him, he was sitting in his car and he was like, oh, okay. All right. I'm guilty. And he was taken into custody without incident. And then the trial itself took place in 1988. And he was charged with multiple counts, 2 counts of first degree murder, 6 counts of kidnapping, 5 counts of rape, 4 counts of aggravated assault, and 2 counts of involuntary deviant sexual intercourse. On July 1st, 1988, after deliberation, the jury convicted him on all counts. He didn't want to appeal. So there was a separate sentencing hearing, like usual, and they recommended the death penalty for both of the murder charges. And so the court on March 2nd, 1989, almost, what was that, 7 months later?
Yeah.
The court formally imposed the death sentence in addition to the long prison sentences that he received for the other counts. During appeals, Heidnik was like, just kill me. Just kill me already.
Yeah.
I don't want to appeal, but because it's a death penalty case, I think they have to. But he kept saying, he kept telling his lawyer, don't waste your time. Just let them kill me. Advocate for that. Advocate for the death penalty. And so he remained on death row for over a decade, awaiting the outcome of these different legal challenges, clemency petitions and appeals. And his lawyer still did it, even though that he was asked not to. In interviews later, his defense attorney, his name was Charles Peruto Jr., said Heidnik was, quote, difficult to represent. Can only imagine. His defense this whole time was that it was due to insanity, not guilty due to insanity.
Yeah.
He didn't fit 100% the legal definition of insanity.
Yeah.
He did check a lot of boxes. He was definitely manipulative. He was all of these things, but he wasn't insane.
Yeah.
He was a narcissist. He was a sociopath. There's just, I guess there's a difference. He believed that Heidnik was really deeply disturbed, but the evidence was just so overwhelming, against him. So finally, on July 6th, 1999, July 1st was when he was found guilty. 1988? So July 6th, 1999, Gary Heidnik was executed by lethal injection in Pennsylvania's SCI Rockview Prison. And he was the last person ever executed in Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And that is my story of part 1 of the Buffalo Bill saga, maybe.
That was really good because I knew of him and I knew some things, but I didn't know majority of that.
I glossed over a lot. There's so much because there's so much about each of these women, and I hate that I didn't get a chance to talk about them, but it was like you really had to sort of build up to that, and each of the women that he had children with, and that would have just taken a lot of time. And so apologies to the victims who survived, but what strong women, there's just a couple of really good little documentaries that I'll put a link to. One of them you have to subscribe, and then you can just delete your subscription.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the story was wild. I had not heard of him.
And good for the one that was like convinced him, right? To like take me to see my family, because
she went to her boyfriend's house first and he didn't believe her. So she's like, what? Okay, fuck you. And so she ended up at the payphone. She was just like, because he was like, what? I know. You haven't seen me in 4 months. What?
Anyways, I'm not going to go there. But
Josephina.
It's surprising that Gary, being as intelligent on paper as he was, that he would be like, oh, she's not trying to trick me at all. Of course she can see her family and things will be fine. They're not going to think anything's weird. She
loves me. Yeah. I'm the,
So he just thought she was going to go update her family and be like, I'm in love with this guy. Like, I mean, that's just, good that it happened, right? Good that he believed it, but that's just wild that he was so intelligent and just didn't see it coming.
They did a recreation of it in one of the documentaries, and he's like, so I'll see you in 15 minutes, right? You'll be back, right? She's like, of course. And you can just see her like, and then she gives him a hug and, acts like she's loving the hug. And then she like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
So she saw a way to get out.
Yeah.
Like that's
good
so
for her.
Smart.
And saving the other women.
That was so smart.
Yeah.
Those poor women. But yeah, you could see a lot of the Buffalo Bill, putting them in the pit and just.
I didn't actually realize he was based on 3 different people. Mm-hmm. I thought he was just based on the one. So that's interesting. So I definitely think you should do the other 2.
Okay. All right.
That's just my opinion.
Okay. All right. Deal. Anyway, so that's my story. Yay.
Yay. Such happy vibes.
Yay. Okay. Well, you want to tell us what you're doing next week?
I'm probably doing a disappearance.
Okay.
I love my disappearances.
I mean,
no shortage of them.
Oh, that's sad. Or is there a happy ending?
No. But that's why I do them.
Yeah.
Because hopefully, it keeps their name alive, and maybe you never know, right? Like there have been cases where people have come out years later saying I was the one that was kidnapped, and you never know.
Well,
we may hear the story. So anyways, it will be a disappearance, I'm sure, because that's just what I like to focus on. And
all right, well, we'll see you all next week. Until then, see something, say something, and take care of yourselves. Please be kind to yourself too, please. All right, see you next week. Bye.